Frederick Martin Davidson was a 36-year-old mechanical graduate student at San Diego State University in 1996. The engineering department faculty had rejected his initial master's thesis. He was convinced that the entire department was involved in a conspiracy against him. He simmered in anger against three specific faculty members. He was bitter and resentful towards his faculty advisor, Chen Liang, who he felt had exploited his long working hours within the department laboratory. The projects given to him in his mind amounted only to mundane tasks with absolutely no relationship to his thesis. Preston Lowrey III had labeled him a cheater in conversations with other faculty members. He was certain Constantinos Lyrintzis had inhibited his prospects of finding permanent employment. Perhaps unaware of his bitterness towards them, the three faculty members agreed to sit down with Davidson at 10 o'clock a.m. on Thursday, August 15, 1996, and review his thesis. Davidson had a surprise waiting. Three graduate observers were invited for moral support. Davidson began the proceedings by heightening the stakes. He handed Liang an email printout from an employer offering him a job should he pass his thesis defense. He did not anticipate the faculty members reversing their earlier opinion. In the silence that followed the transfer of the printed email, Davidson silently walked over to a first aid kit mounted on the wall. He removed a loaded 9mm handgun and 5 additional magazines of ammunition. He immediately turned around and began firing. He struck Liang fatally, who was seated. He clipped the other two professors who were attempting to scatter. Lowrey attempted to escape via the sole access door to the hallway. He never made it. Davidson gunned him down repeatedly until he expired on the floor of the doorway. Lyrintzis was trapped. With no exit to freedom, he slipped into an adjoining classroom and hid futilely under a table. Davidson reloaded another magazine into his handgun and relentlessly tracked him down. For him, the moment their eyes locked certainly created an eternity of pure terror. He ruthlessly peppered him with shots while he crouched under the table. The overall carnage resulted in 23 rounds being fired at the three professors with 16 direct hits. Each of the student observers was allowed to flee without incident. They notified the third-floor faculty and student members to evacuate. Davidson telephoned the police to confess. He had originally intended to commit suicide after the shootings, having composed an explanatory note. He meekly and tearfully surrendered to police while still holding his handgun. His cowardice had betrayed his determination to make a defiant statement. In July 1997, Davidson was convicted under a plea bargaining arrangement that spared him the death penalty. He was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. The 3 slain professors were honored by an L3 memorial park commemorative adjacent to the engineering building. As the tragedy has receded from public recognition, this discreet memorial seems oddly insufficient in proportion to the flagrant and odious loss.